with Coach K, Jay Wright, Roy Williams leaving, there is an opening. And it's not that Dan Hurley needed an opening, but you can make an argument this is what coaching looks like in 2024. And he has been nice enough to take time for us today and join us live. Dan Hurley, UConn's basketball coach. So I view you, I look at you and I think, oh, I love this guy. This guy is old school. He'll bark at players. He likes bigs. He likes physicality. But that's how I view you. Do you view you as a little bit old school?
Absolutely. I think I represent in terms of like the way that we push our players, the way that we challenge them to be, to get better, but then also be about winning. I think like the values, the work ethic, the preparation, the accountability, I think is all old school. But then I do think, though, we do play the modern, game of basketball, blended with some of the analytics. Obviously, becoming a better offensive team has changed the trajectory of our program the last, couple of years. It was our undoing a couple of years ago in that New Mexico State game, but that was kind of like a come to Jesus moment in terms of. Just becoming a better coach and not having holes in your game.
Dan, the NIL and the transfer portal, it's very difficult. Some coaches, you could see some of these college basketball guys, these legends, they're like, I'm out. It is hard to create loyalty when you bark at players. Everybody thinks they're a little better than they are, yet you demand they play defense. You're not afraid to bark. But yet you're endearing enough to players that nobody plays as hard as you. I said the other day, you're the UNLV Rebels with Tark. And I remember Krzyzewski saying to me one time before he played him, he goes, we play hard. He goes, we don't play as hard as UNLV. I don't know how he gets them to play that hard. You, in a world where every kid wants to leave the minute he hits the bench, how do you get these guys to be so endearing and yet you demand so much of them?
Well, I just think we don't misrepresent things when we go through the recruiting process with them. When they visit campus, I demand that they are here at a time of year where they can see practice, so they could see potentially what they'd be getting themselves into, what the environment is truly going to be like for them, the emphasis that we're going to put on winning. I do think though. We spend so much time with our players. I think a lot of other college coaches, complain about having the players on campus during the summer. Oh man, I got to coach during the summer. I wish they would double our summer hours. I wish they would. The easiest part of my day is that time on the court, with the boys. But the players understand. They've got friends that play in other college programs. They understand the commitment that I make and the staff makes to helping them absolutely max out the value in their career. And when you invest that type of time and love and, any athlete or player worth anything is going to allow you to get the most out of them.
You may end up facing Zach Edey. And I had said, I don't know what his NBA future is, but I know how good Gonzaga is. And I watched him eat Gonzaga alive twice. And Gonzaga may lose infrequently. Nobody's blowing Gonzaga out. Mark Few came on our show last week and said, I don't know what to do. I don't have an answer. And I look at Zach Edey and I think, I don't know if he's a pro, but nobody's stopping Giannis and Jokic and Embiid now. You can't tell me there's not 15 minutes a night. I know that you haven't probably scouted them yet, but what is your take on, like an Edey, when people say, yeah, he's just a college guy? And I'm like, Dan, I don't know. What's your take on that?
I guess a little sad. If that's if Zach Edey is not like a lottery pick and a tremendous NBA player, then there's something wrong with the NBA. Then they're maybe not playing the right game at that level. This guy's been as dominant. Brings you back to like Ralph Sampson, Patrick Ewing, David Robinson type of performances at that spot. So, the kid's a special player, and special players, when they go to that next level, they they add new skills quickly. So I think he's going to get to the NBA and increase his range in his shooting, his passing, his dribbling, and he'll adapt. That's what special players do.
So the last team to repeat was Florida. That was Billy Donovan's teams. Those were good teams. They had, if I recall, Noah, Ronnie Brewer, a lot of NBA guys, and they played defense as well. And so you win last year, and I always think, oh boy, that's tough. That's hiccup time. You're a target every game. UConn's always a bit of a target. But have there been times this season, Dan, that you were worried about, okay, kind of a bad practice, guys aren't focused in? Have you seen any of that from your team? Did you worry about it?
Yeah, maybe I was a little worried when we were picked closer to fourth than we were third in the preseason coaches poll in the Big East. And then our close scrimmage, versus Virginia, we got smoked in the second half of that close scrimmage. That was a little scary. Our first Big East game this year, Seton Hall, beat us by double figures, and obviously Klingon got hurt in that one. But I'll say this, Colin, man, the thing about Storrs and UConn is it attracts serious people. You lived here, you've been around the state, you know the landscape here, you know how big UConn basketball is.
Yep.
I just think that this place, it's got one of the best brands and incredible recent history. But there's less grimy places that you can go and play college basketball. That's maybe, but they've got a bigger social media presence than we have here. They got bigger social media. They got, better marketing. They got more national media behind them. I think UConn, it attracts serious basketball people, and I think that explains a lot of our success.
There's never been in the history of college athletics. The women's program, the men's program I can remember saying this to friends years ago. Ask Duke who they don't want to play in the tournament. It was always Calhoun. Like they're just men. That was always my feeling. And in a weird way, don't you kind of like it that even though if you win a title, you'll have 6. That's more than Krzyzewski. That's more than Kansas. That's like UCLA territory. Don't you kind of like it? That you're not as discussed as Michigan. Michigan football's got 2 natties since 1950. We can't stop talking about them. Don't you kind of like the underdog thing a little?
Oh, I love it. I love it, and then we use it. It's awesome fuel. The slights, the perceived slights, the made up slights, the quotes that we make up here that people have never said, misquoting opposing coaches and players about our players. You got to use it all. And because listen, when you achieve a level of success that we've had going back to, a calendar year, the human nature stuff is there, that complacency, and, you got to use anything at your disposal to keep the boys on edge.
Dan Hurley, what a pleasure. Big favorite. That's just the world they live in now against Alabama. There's bigs all over the place. Burns and Zach Edey, they run their offense through bigs as well. They're physical. I said a couple days ago, the refs may be the only thing that could beat you. If you're allowed to play physical basketball, you guys are a complete handful. A complete handful. I love your style, and I appreciate you taking 10 minutes because you're kind of a busy guy these days, Dan, and I really appreciate it.
Colin, this is a great one to be on, man. Been a big fan forever, man. So I know I've hit, we've done some good things here if I've landed on this show.
All right. Thanks, Coach. All right.
Later.
Good stuff.